Are you guys ready for this one?
What is it?
Rule of
I'm
Wolves.
going in Andrea's order, so it is.
No, I'm not
Or the
ready.
House of Wolves.
Here's the review. It sucks. Don't read it. Done.
Shortest review we've ever done. Just don't read it.
Don't read it.
So
Burn it. If someone gives it to you, it's an insult.
that's a really good way to put it. It's House of Wolves by James Patterson. And it is probably one of the worst books we've read in book club.
Not the worst.
Not the worst, one of them. Our
The
cousin.
worst not picked by Kelly. How about that?
That's true. So I'll do a quick synopsis of this. Let's just include spoilers because I have a lot to probably say about this book.
Spoilers are fine because no one else should read it. Like,
Yes.
I'm not spoiling anything, actually.
So the opening scene is this old man on a boat and someone's there um, to basically kill him. And then you find out this guy did actually die. He was a prominent figure. He owned a football team, and he was very, very wealthy. And so then the cops are trying to figure out, like, did he kill himself, or was it an accident, or did someone else have a hand in this potential murder? And so this book follows his like four children. They are all terrible. And the main girl, it really follows her primarily. What's her name? Jenny?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Jenny.
So Jenny's main character and the daughter of this man, and she is like left in charge of the entire empire after he dies. So now everyone is out to kind of get Jenny, and even her siblings are trying to like take her down so that they can have control over this football team. I would rate this a D plus. The writing is terrible. It's just
The writing is awful.
I do not know who wrote this book, but I don't know why they got into writing. That sounds so mean to say, but it's so corny. It's awkward to read. It made me very uncomfortable at times. Like basically any dialogue Jenny had, I was like, oh gosh, she's gonna speak again. Please no.
Where do you think the dialogue was worse, you guys? Supermarket or this book?
This book.
I would say this book.
This one worse than supermarket. How embarrassing.
I think
I mean,
Superman. Go
it was
ahead.
worse than a book with the fox that talked.
Plague dogs.
Plague Dog.
Like dogs.
You know that book? You didn't even read it, Liz.
No, I'm traumatized by the review you guys did. I'm never gonna read it.
Um, Supermarket dialogue, it was just so run on. It was like he was kind of like talking to himself, just going on and on and on and on. It was hard to follow. This was so poorly written. It was cringy and awkward and just like juvenile to read about. It's like a high school student tried to write a book, and this is what came out of it.
It does feel like a high schooler wrote a fan fiction and like then also posted it on Tumblr and you're just reading it off Tumblr. That's kind of what it feels like.
Yeah. So I did D plus. Liz, what did you do?
An F.
An F.
If it wasn't book club, I wouldn't have finished it.
You would have DNR'd it. Or
Yeah.
DNF'd it. Anne, what about you?
I also gave it an F because I hated the main character and all the other characters. I hated reading it. And yeah, like Liz said, I would not have finished it. I would have just been like, after she said, I bumped him some fist, I would have just stopped reading
It was
because I
so
was like, what?
Oh my gosh. And then she just had to say that like 5 more times throughout the book. Oh,
Yeah, she just like thought she was so cool, like the entire book, and she was actually like super lame.
and I
And
really,
she was just like so weird.
she was weird. I really dislike in murder mystery books where they introduce the person that it is in the last like 50 to 75 pages. So like you honestly couldn't have figured out this ending, even if you tried, because the person who actually like orchestrated the murder, you didn't even know his name or that he had existed until like 50 to 70 pages before the ending.
Yeah, I wrote that in my journal that they just pick a random person, introduce them, and that's the murderer.
Yeah. It wasn't clever at all.
And then I hated also, other than the murder, the other part of the ending that I hated is how she goes to like hug the guy. And she's like, you won't like overturn me or whatever. And he's like, why? And he's been the one pulling the strings. He's actually super powerful. He's the reason everything's worked out for her. She's done nothing the whole book. She hugs him and whispers in his ear, killer be killed. Like, how does that even make sense?
It
That,
does.
She had
that
a lot
literally
of like
makes no sense.
all her like when she leaves a room lines that she says right before she leaves. I'm like, oh my God, she did not just say that. Like,
Oh my gosh. And then I turned very dramatically and said, this won't be the end of you or me or something.
she had so many of those.
Yeah.
Stuff
Yeah.
like if people did this in real life, somebody would be like, what's wrong with Jenny? Like, does she should see a doctor. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I
And the
didn't like
dynamic
it.
between her siblings was just so bad too. Like her brothers literally posted on their newspaper like half naked pictures of their sister to try and embarrass her publicly. Like, why would you possibly do that to your siblings?
To be honest, too, it
Rude.
wasn't just a picture of her butt in like underwear.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I thought it was. I like whatever.
Yeah.
Like you could see that when I wear a swimsuit. I don't really care if anyone posts a photo of my butt on the internet. Like,
What if
whatever.
I did it to try and like make you look bad at work? Like,
Well,
that's
joke's on you,
cheating.
my butt looks really nice.
It does.
So you can try it. It would just backfire. Um, but it would like if you did it, it'd be weird because I'd be like, why'd you have those pictures anyway? But
It would be weird.
yeah, it would be a little weird.
All the like conversations she has were weird too. Like the football team, the high school football team that she's originally coaching, like back her like so much. I'm like, think about when you're in high school. You don't really act like that. Like you're not like obsessed with your coach that much that you're like, we will die for you or whatever. Like they were so like it was so weird to me how they like responded to everything that was like happening. I'm like, they're high school kids. They're not gonna do that.
No.
How about the fact that she like started dating the detective and then correct me if I'm wrong, but like near the end of the book, it basically says he gets suspended and then doesn't really say what else happens to him.
Yeah,
Like,
they don't say anything. Like I thought he was like gonna figure out the case
mhm.
because that's usually what happens. Like he goes rogue and all these other detective books, but nope, he just
He gets suspended.
vanished. Yeah.
Wasn't it weird too, though? Like he's investigating her dad's maybe murder. She's one of the key suspects, and so he starts sleeping with her. Like, I don't think you're supposed to do that, right?
Oh.
No, definitely not.
Yeah, he wasn't a very good detective either.
They weren't even hiding. They went out to dinner in public. Like, what are
She went out to get the morning paper at his house in just a t-shirt.
yeah. And she's like a high profile NFL owner now, right? Like she's well known in town. Like what are I don't know. None of it makes sense.
It was very bad. 10
So
out of
bad.
10 would not recommend. And that's House of Wolves. Boo.